You were telling me your sons are
Yes.
all about Away.
Would you like me to do an ad for Away?
No.
Away is one.
What do they like about it?
They just take my bags and I don't see them again. They're just gone. I don't know. They're cool. They do, I think the only big issue they have is they getting stopped for the battery stopping thing.
And it pops right out.
Now it does, but they have an early one. But it's interesting. I think they just think it's cool looking, I guess. They wouldn't buy a Samsonite, for example.
Wouldn't buy a Samsonite.
Right.
Okay, that's a plus. So let's actually start. We're going to try to squeeze in a bunch here. One topic I want to get at is the idea of trying to build a mass brand that tons of people love, but having the cool factor remain. So I was talking with someone earlier, and they said, I get on New York to LA now, and literally every bag is Away, and kind of makes me feel good, kind of makes me feel like this was this special thing that was mine and now it's other people. And obviously this challenges, goes back as far as brands go back.
Tumi was the last one all the techies used, Tumi or whatever.
So just at a high level, how do you think about wanting this to be in the hands of lots and lots of people and not letting go of this connection that you've been able to make with so many people so far?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say that this is a problem that we are very excited to have. If you had told me when we first started Away that this would be something we'd be trying to solve, we're up for it. I think from the very beginning, there's always been a broader vision to build a travel brand, and we started by making luggage that was based on tons of consumer feedback, and that luggage really resonated, which is a big part of why you see it everywhere now. So that part worked. And I think because we've been so focused on cultivating this community and creating the relationship with our customers, we now, one, are getting that feedback that you just said, and two, are trying to figure out what is it about the brand and what is it about the product that continues to make it special for people. And I think that's what's going to win out. It's not about the proliferation of how many Away suitcases there are on your flight. It's the emotional connection that people have had to the brand since we started.
And when you think about that, just when you were saying the emotional connection of the brand, when you say travel community, that was at the beginning? That was the thought from your perspective of doing that?
I think the positioning has always been that we're creating a way to make travel more seamless and more enjoyable, and we're going to do that by creating products that let you travel more seamlessly. And the way we've designed the product based on feedback initially from over 800 people is that we created something that really gave people a sense of delight, and we talked about the brand in a way where people felt like they were part of something. So by doing that, it's, there's a lot of things that really speak to it, like, for example, if someone does get stopped at the gate because of a battery, seeing another customer, and they don't know I'm there, seeing another customer jump in to help and explain to the other Away person about the battery and what's happening. And I think that's what really resonates. I think we are heading towards a future where everything is either going to be commoditized on a marketplace like Amazon or Walmart, or it's going to be something that you buy from a brand that you feel an emotional connection to, and there's not going to be a lot in the middle. So we are squarely sticking to that end because I think that's how we're going to continue to grow.
So what was the opening you saw in the luggage? Why luggage first? What was the opening? It's just that there was a lot of cool bags out there. It wasn't for lack of.
Maybe cool to you, Kara.
Well, all right, but it was Tumi, and before that it was another one, and there was another one before that. You cycled, having bought bags for 16 years for Code. There's a bag that's now Topo is a big deal among people. You can watch them in the streets shifting.
Yeah, if we dial it back to the very beginning, so if you want to know how this really started.
Is this like the fake founder story that is told as the real story, or is this the real story?
The nice thing for us is they're the same story.
Okay.
It's very rare.
It's very rare.
But about a year before we launched the business, Jen called me. She had posted on Facebook. I'd seen the post, "My suitcase broke. Does anyone have any recommendations?" And Jen's like a total crowdsourcer for these types of things. So she'll ask for recommendations for a hotel in a certain city, or a new pair of shoes for a certain occasion. And so she asked for a suitcase recommendation, and no one could say, "Oh, I love this. This is really great. You should get this." So that conversation was the genesis of it. And when we were talking on the phone, what Jen said to me that resonated so much was, travel is this amazing experience. It gets people outside of their comfort zone. You go discover new cultures, make new connections, meet new people. There's a reason that the two of us and so many people we know feel that travel and new experience is such an important part of our lives. But there isn't really a brand offering travel products that really speaks to that experience, designs around that experience, and is really thinking about what you're offering people beyond the point of sale, like what happens beyond that and why is that special. So that original conversation was around how can we create a travel brand, not a luggage brand, but a travel brand that really thinks about that end-to-end customer experience and how we can really inspire people to get out of their comfort zone, go live that life of new experiences, and design products and offer it using their feedback to make that really seamless for people. And yeah, I mean, if you looked at the travel goods market before, you had a lot of products that all looked the same. They kind of all looked like a Terminator. You heard lots of people complaining about broken wheels, broken zippers. You had some high quality products. They were thousands of dollars, cost more than the trip you were taking them on. There was no one really designing for that true experience, though.
A couple of things to pull apart there. One is, travel brand, which would mean, long-term vision is many products, not just luggage, or many product categories. I think recently you hired a head of apparel. You're talking about CPG, is that right? And wellness, is that another one?
Someone's been looking at our job board.
And so sometimes when I see a young company doing this, I'm saying, are they trying to live up to a valuation? Is their TAM not big enough? Do they need, new profit profiles for different parts of the business? Or is there a why that actually makes sense, like you have expertise? And so I guess my first question is, can you hire expertise and have these other products be like a really core part of a young company's business?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, neither Steph or I had luggage expertise before we started Away. Now we are very excited to be able to bring on a world-class team of people who actually have expertise in designing these new categories. But these new categories are coming out of a real need that our customers have. So we've now, we're a young brand, but we've established ourselves through all of these details as a brand that cares about the experience. And because of that, it kind of leaves a lot of doors open for us. So people are looking for the same ease and joy and delight that they are finding in their luggage that didn't exist before. And they're looking for that in the clothes that they wear on the plane and the clothes that they're packing. And
you know that because they tell you?
We know that because they tell us.
So they buy a luggage from you and said, what I really need is clothes for the plane.
We do hear this a lot from our customers. Actually, when we were a 6-month-old company, we had our wonderful customer service team in our office, and we had just done our first photo shoot in Japan, and somebody called and said, hey, just saw you on Instagram that you guys did this shoot. Where should I stay in Japan? And I think that was the beginning of us really understanding the gravity of this brand that we were building. Could you imagine calling Tumi and asking them for a hotel recommendation?
No, but I might ask Airbnb, because that's exactly where they're going.
Right, that's what they're doing. So I think for us to realize very early on that we stood for much more than luggage really helped us see kind of how broad the opportunity was in this space. So apparel and CPG and wellness are two of the first categories that we're going into. We're designing these products the same way we designed our luggage, which is with lots of customer feedback, and now we just have hundreds of thousands more data points than we did when we first started.
So, I'm sorry, when you talk about apparel, what is it, plain travel clothes or?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that people are
They
asking
told us
for.
they were going to reveal their first product here, so here you go, Jen.
I am also waiting for it. This is not what I travel in. Yeah, no, I think it's there's a lot of things that people look for when they think about travel apparel. So the Away traveler does not want to travel in athleisure. They want things that are maybe antibacterial or wrinkle-free, or they dry quickly, but they also want them to look good enough to wear to a meeting when they got off the plane. There's a lot of these little data points that we're taking, and we're thinking about how to make the best products that satisfy those needs.
This sounds like Star Trek, but let me get, and then CPG, you could do that.
Yeah.
There's an idea for you. What about CPG? How do you, how do you look at that?
If you, right now, there is not a single brand that is focused on consumer goods that are totally fine-tuned to people who are traveling. So as many of you know, your sleeping habits change when you're traveling. Your skin acts differently when you're on a plane. These are all things, again, that our customers are looking for us to solve.
Okay.
When you raised your last round of funding, I think the valuation of the company was $1.4 billion. And I got some feedback from someone in the industry that was like, 150 million in sales last year, $1.4 billion valuation. I hope Jen and Steph took some money off the table in that last round. Do you understand that skepticism of a number like that? Or how do you?
Yeah, I think what's unique about the round that we raised this spring is it wasn't venture investors. It was crossover public market investors who invest in peers of ours that are publicly traded companies, so beloved consumer brands. And those public market investors understand that when they look at the other types of brands they invest in, there's ways those companies are valued. So you look at margins, you're looking at store metrics, you're looking at growth metrics. Quite simply, you can look at what are valuations as a multiple of last year's revenue. You can look at what are valuations as a multiple of next year's revenue. And when
Have you said this year's revenue projected?
No,
300?
we're
No? Thought I read that. No? Okay, keep going, sorry.
You're on our finance team now.
Yes, I am. I wish I could be.
Yeah,
Kara will
but-
give me some hints on how to break in.
You know, our investors have our financial projections, and when you look at our valuation as a projection, as a multiple of next year's revenue based off of the growth rates that we're already demonstrating, it's incredibly conservative compared to how public market investors are investing are valuing our peers.
And how do you consider your company? I'm not going to WeWork you, but you're not a technology company. Well, maybe someday I will. I'll get Scott Galloway in on it. But what do you consider your company?
Man, Kara.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No.
Will we still be
Subbing me
invited
out.
back if I say we're not a tech company?
No, I hope you're not. I hope you don't say you're a tech company.
You know what?
because
I feel
that
like
would be-
everyone comes and sits in this chair and is like, we're this and we're a tech company. And
No, you're not a tech company.
No. Well, here's the thing. Everyone, you know when a Peloton's S1 came out and there
Yeah.
was that
They're
page
selling
that was like,
happiness?
we're a media company, we're a logistics company, we're a retail company, and everyone kind of laughed. And I think, you know, there are things that people say because they think that brings higher valuations.
Sure.
The way we think about it, if we ever consider ourselves a media company or a customer service company or a logistics company, it's because to provide the kind of customer experience that we want away customers to have, you have to think like that in every area of the business. So yeah, if our VP of Ops wants to think of Away as like the best logistics company out there because that's the kind of scale and experience that we're trying to deliver, then great. If our influencer team wants to think of themselves as an influencer agency company, then amazing, and that's how we've always tried to build that. But I think really what we're trying to build is a long-lasting, beloved consumer brand, and that is why we are trying to kind of break free of like, hey, we're a DTC company, we're a tech company, we're e-com or retail. It doesn't really speak to the scale of what we hope to build.
But products, you just said consumer products company. Do you think that also?
Yeah, we're a consumer brand.
So, but one of the things you did mention was other things like the recommendation. I noticed you said, what would you do? Is that something you think about? I mean, a lot of, like Airbnb is doing magazines, and obviously they're clearly heading into lots of travel, the whole travel arrangement that you have. Do you think of that as your business? That you would recommend hotels, or you would do that? That's a media company in a way.
Yeah, we actually have a media arm. We have Here Magazine, which is an online and print magazine, and that's something that kind of really speaks to our richness as a brand and how we speak about travel. It's not something that I would say we're heavily focused on growing right now, but is like an inherent part of the soul of our brand.
So you want to give people suggestions.
And they're definitely coming to us for it. And I think as we think about building a community, like a real community is when a brand can step out as the intermediary and think about the interactions that Away customers are having with each other. So as we think about the future, and this for sure will probably involve tech, like how do we facilitate that between the community that already exists?
Well, like a social network or something.
When you raised your last round, you talked about, I think, building out 50 physical retail locations over the next 3 years. I think you have maybe 7 today. Curious, what is the strategy there, and what do you want? Why do you need that? Like, what is the experience someone's going to get in that store that they can't have unpacking, the away luggage at home in the comfort?
And how do you decide where to put? I'm always like, where's the Warby Parker? Oh, there's the away kind of thing. That's how. Like in one street, I have 2 places. I have one in D.C. and one in San Francisco, and literally it's Warby Parker away, and then the other one, there's another one of them, Everlane maybe, one of them. It's really fascinating to watch. And the same thing in Shaw. It's like, you're not there yet. I'm waiting for you to arrive there. But it's a really interesting thing to watch, all these online brands locate. How do you think about that, about the whole thing?
Well, I'll throw myself under the bus here first. So when we first started the business, I was convinced that brick and mortar would not be part of our strategy, because I said to myself, we offer our customers right now a product that they don't need to try on, and it's kind of a big bulky thing to walk out of a store with. And we have really generous free shipping with a 100-day trial, so I can't imagine that this is going to be like a highly popular kind of product and brand for people to want to shop in store. But let me prove myself right. So we're going to open a pop-up here in New York for a few months, and at the very least, we'll get the benefit of bringing the brand experience to life, being able to interface with and learn from our customers, and then, of course, most importantly, proving myself right. And what we learned in that pop-up is I was totally wrong.
What's the real reason you did the pop-up?
No, it literally was, let's test this and see if people want to shop in person, and if they end up not wanting to, we'll at least have, we're probably
to prove me wrong is what you're
I would say on the spectrum of companies, we're one of the most vigilant about soliciting customer feedback. Like, people always talk about direct-to-consumer brands, and the big competitive advantage is the price-to-quality ratio because you're cutting out the middleman.
Bullshit.
That actually is a compelling competitive advantage, but to us, it's by far not the most important one. The most important one is that you have the opportunity to systematically utilize that data and feedback loop to quite literally just learn from your customers what it is that they are being underserved on or missing from a brand.
The Glossier.
And then create it for them. And so you're bringing value to their life, and they've told you exactly what they want. And any brand that makes products and sells them to department stores doesn't have that opportunity. So that's the biggest competitive advantage. But anyway, we opened this pop-up for a few months, a few blocks from our office in NoHo. And what we saw was everyone wanted to touch and feel. They were like, oh, I was on your website, and I couldn't decide between the green and the blue, or like, who knows what 7 pounds really feels like? Oh, wow, that is light. Okay, I'll take the navy set. And that interaction kept happening over and over again. And they wanted to understand the story of the brand, what we stood for, where we were going. They wanted to give us their ideas. That original pop-up was highly profitable the month it opened. And we were like, oh, maybe this is just a New York thing. So we closed the pop-up. We opened a permanent store in New York. We started opening a couple other pop-ups. We saw that in every market we went to, that basically our customers were incredibly engaged. The kind of like brand and community building aspect of what we could create in person by bringing people together was extraordinarily special, and the financial metrics, both online and offline, of opening stores have been really compelling. So we have 7 stores today. We're opening 4 more before the end of the year, and we'll be at 50 3 years from now.
50?
Yeah.
And how do you pick the markets?
It's essentially, Jen and I joke that the two of us are like the left brain, right brain. So I'm like all about the data and process. Jen's all about the brand and emotion. And it's like the two sides of our brains coming together. So we look at our data. We look at e-commerce data. We look at web traffic data. We look at where our customers and web traffic are coming from. And then we think about what's the story we want to tell with the space, the architecture of the space can tell a lot about the brand. Who your neighbors are can tell a lot about the brand. So we kind of marry those two sides together. And
what will there be a different sort of feel or experience inside the new stores versus what you have now?
Well, so I think something that we've learned from the last 7 stores is that we continue to learn more about our customer that kind of affects how we set up these stores. So what that means for our new stores is that they'll all be modular. I think given how much the brand has evolved, how differently we want to set up our stores as we launch new products. When we opened that first store in New York, we we didn't have a clear plan that we would be launching apparel. So now how does that store setup fit in? So I think we're giving ourselves a lot of flexibility, and I think it goes beyond just what the stores look like. But I think in some areas, for example, we have like a high concentration of tourists who come through, and in some areas it's more local. So as we think about hiring and training and building out those teams, some teams are kind of like local market experts, because that's what, Korey, to your point, these are the recommendations that they're being asked for. And kind of if you go into our New York or LA store, they have all just gotten back from some fabulous trip, and they're giving our customers advice there. So I think we're making them very modular and flexible, not just the stores, but the teams based on what the customers want.
Can I ask you a question about your relationship, how you run the company? You just said something. It sounds like you're Spock and you're Kirk or something. I'm not really clear, but that's that. How do you?
Are you a big fan? I'm learning
No, there's
something
a lot
new
of
about you.
references.
You're either a Star Trek person or a Star Wars person, but I'll get into that later.
Ooh, I'm neither. Shit.
You're Star Trek, you're optimistic, and you're pessimistic if you're a Star Wars fan. Anyway, think about it. Think about it. Talk about your relation. Why are you co-anything? Like, that's not, what's the deal?
We're not co-anything.
Okay.
We actually,
We're co-founders.
co-founders.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do you split up the running of it?
She's the CEO, so she's the boss.
Okay.
That's if we think about it, we're building two things here. We're building a brand and we're building a company. Mm-hmm. Both need each other to be very valuable and to last a long time. And I think that's how Steph and I split up, and that's how we focus on. Obviously, on high-level strategic decisions, we both have very strong points of view and push each other and challenge each other. But yeah.
Yeah, Jen's our chief brand officer,
Right,
and the way we can really simply explain it is, if I weren't around, Away would be the most popular, beloved company that everyone on the planet wanted to be a customer of, that had like no inventory and went bankrupt.
Right.
And if Jen wasn't around,
She would be
we would be like the most well-run, like process-driven, on top of every number business with 0 customers.
Okay, all right, okay. It's a good thing you found each other.
I hope you stay together.
Yeah. But
She could have solved Firefest, this one.
which one?
It's true.
Solve Firefest?
Firefest needed me.
Yeah.
Oh,
It all
really?
would have been fine.
I would give that a hard pass. Like that.
No, I like a challenge.
Oh, not that one. Okay, whatever, fine.
Run a full-on media company. There's your challenge.
So then, as you grow together, I mean, I've seen tons of the co-founders things and things like that. What are your biggest challenges that and then we'll get to questions from the audience. Jason might have another question, but
I do.
What are you scared of? I mean, are you scared of things like these things have a trendiness to them? Like, you may not have remembered, but I remember Sports Sack, and it was everyone had it, and then they had stores, and then they went out of business. Like, maybe they're still around. I don't know, but they certainly had a like that. That could be one thing. The other is that you iterate too much, or you get away from what people want. So what is your biggest fear as a company as it takes off?
Well, I think you've definitely named one of mine. I think any consumer brand wants to stay relevant. We don't want to Von Dutch ourselves.
Ooh, wow, I haven't heard that
Yeah.
in a while.
What's that? Wait, what is it?
Remember Von
Von
Dutch?
Dutch.
Hopefully no one's
Von Dutch
wearing
ourselves.
a Von
Oh,
Dutch
that's nice. I
hat
like the
here.
verb.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, and I
They're a
think
Ashton
sponsor, no
Kutcher.
more.
Go ahead.
yeah, I think he's moved on. I think the answer to
Is
that
that actually a
is
verb?
thing.
Sorry, Von Dutch.
It's a verb in a way.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
We do things. I'm like, are we Von Dutching ourselves? And so that's something that definitely keeps me up at night. And I think the beautiful thing about our partnership is there is nothing that both of us are scared of. So that helps.
What about you?
I think for me, so much of what has led to our success up to now has been we've created like a really unique culture within the company around lack of fear of failure, like comfort with risk taking, like true one-team mentality. There's just like a lot of things that are really unique that when people come in, they're like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this. And that gets harder and harder to maintain as you get bigger. So if there's one thing I'm very focused on every day, it's as the business grows and the team grows, how do we like really institutionalize this stuff the customer feedback loop, like that can't get lost anywhere, whether we're 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, like that's got to be really tight because that's what gets us where we're going. So those are the things that I think a lot about.
If you have questions, please line up. I have one more. So your entry into this space lit a fire under some of your competitors, it seemed like. And you've had higher priced brands like Rimowa come down in price a little bit, partner recently with celebrity athletes like LeBron James. NBA season's coming up, could be interesting. I'm wondering, like, how far up in price do you think you can go and still A, satisfy customer base, and B, like stick to what you think makes your brand special?
So I think the price question, if that's the specific question, like what we—
I mixed like
Yeah.
And what do you do when your competitors just, they're copying you? I'm familiar with that. So, I mean, what is that?
You know, there's a lot about the vision for the business we're creating around the travel space. There's not one product category that we're going after, and within each product category that we offer today or will offer in the future, we don't expect to have a monopoly. So we think that if we continue to listen to our customers, sort of always stay a step ahead in how we're designing products, how we're designing experiences, how we're delivering those in a way that's more compelling than other people in whatever category we're offering, that you know, that creates real customer value, and that's what makes a business successful. But yeah, whether we're talking about our suitcases or our future travel apparel or our future wellness products for travel, it's not good for anyone if we're a monopoly, but I think we can do a really good job compared to others in each space.
Have you seen the tech giants? I mean, it's worked out okay up till
But you
now.
would raise is there room to raise your prices?
You know, our business isn't about how can we like have margins that are massively higher than everyone else out there. We have strong margins, we deliver our customers great value, so raising our prices isn't something that we're focused on.
I think we have some questions. Please just tell us who you are and where you work, please.
My name's Heather Lee, and I'm actually a startup, so you probably haven't heard of us. But first of all, customer...
This is free advertising.
Yes, actually, customer feedback, though, I love your brand so much. It is very true. I'll probably buy almost any thing that you guys will sell. So, and I'm an emotional buyer, and that's okay. So no, I'm not paid. But one of my questions is about branding. So this is kind of more for Jennifer. So as you, and I first heard of you from how I built this podcast, and so it sounds like you're like pretty innate, it's innate in you to be a chief brand officer, but as you have scaled this company, have you found any like challenges, and how have you grown as a, I don't know, branding person for someone who, I'm sure that's a kind of vague, like a philosophical question, but I just kind of wanted to hear what you had to say. And can I get a photo with you afterwards?
A lot to unpack there. So I think on the branding side, it's always, we've always been, it's been really important to us that we stay very wide with our brand, because I think that's what opens, keeps a lot of different paths open for us and the products that we offer. So, you know, so continue to talk about ourselves as a travel brand, to really focus on this community and never just focus on the luggage or a singular feature. And that's something that we're going to continue to do, even as we focus really narrowly on specific products and specific features that we're offering. Like, how do we tell the broader story around that? Because that's what gets the kind of loyalty that makes people stand up and ask questions like that.
Do you have like a word for your brand?
It's not Von Dutch.
Yeah, there's that. I don't know, what's a word for our brand? Ooh, world domination.
No, that's my brand.
It's a collab.
Yeah.
Away ex Korey.
Yeah.
Question here.
Hi there, Stacy Woodletts, SW Retail Advisors. You guys talked about you didn't expect necessarily to open stores. Do you foresee a day when you may enter the dreaded department store space or specialty space? And when I put you in on Amazon, Delsey comes up. So is there an opportunity there? How do you think about that?
Do you want to sell on Amazon? Good luck there.
Well, I do. I'll follow up with a question. Go ahead.
So we don't have plans to sell our products to businesses at this time, just because when we think about the long-term vision of what we're creating in the travel space, being able to have that relationship with our customer, learn from them, and bring them more value in the future is such an important part of that. So we haven't found any relationship with any third-party retailer where we would be able to deliver that for our customers.
Including
so
like department stores.
Sorry?
Including department stores.
Including department
Do
stores.
you find a difference between Amazon and a department store? Because they'll just start a brand called Up, Up, and.
Yeah.
So we did a limited.
Obviously. After they steal all your data, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, okay. So a couple things there. One, we have heard from Amazon a few or more times.
Yeah.
And the pitch is always, do you know how many people are typing away into Amazon? And our response is always, well, do you know what they do when it's not there? And they go to our site. So that.
Yeah, right now if you type in away suitcase, at least on my computer,
Yes.
the first result is Amazon Basics, very colorful suitcases at like $69 or
Yeah, and
something like that.
some people will buy that and they're not the away target customer. And I think with department stores, we have explored things like a limited edition with Nordstrom. That was something that was like we created products specifically for them, based on what they knew about the customer, based on what we knew about their customers. And that for us was specifically a test to get into some markets that Nordstrom is in that we weren't. So we ran that as a test. But like Steph said,
Don't.
There are very few things that would make it worth it for us.
They just want to shoplift your data, but go ahead.
Kara, it's always nice when you don't share your opinion. No. One last
I
question.
would give them nothing.
Hey, Clark from American Express. So Away has been a case study in early stage growth and partnerships. How do you guys think about partnerships now at this stage in your growth cycle?
Not enough, honestly. I think when we started out doing partnerships, it was a lot of collaborations with celebrities. It was, it was more marketing partnerships. And I think, as we explore things with companies like American Express, we always think about, what are the bigger opportunities here to provide an experience that as two companies we can't provide elsewhere. So if we think about something like partnering with an airline lounge, for example, is there a special experience there that we can provide away customers that can kind of get both? And I think as we scale, that's going to be a huge part of our business beyond just, product collaboration.
And using celebrities, like Jason was talking about, other companies doing that. How do you look at that?
Yeah, I mean, the LeBron partnership was really exciting to see after our Dwayne Wade partnership. And we're going to continue to.
Those are basketball players.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
And we're going to continue to do to partner with celebrities who kind of share our values and want to share a story.